Most millionaires are made during recessions. Did you notice? So let's talk about how can you become a millionaire during this 2022-2023 recession. What are some ways, what are some things that you can really be doing that are going to kind of put you and your family's wealth and generational wealth forward, that is catapulting it forward, going forward right now? Because it's a fact that if you know how to handle these times we're living right now, if you know how to be strategic, then you also are going to really achieve amazing results going forward. So there's a few things that I want to chat about. A couple of things. First of all, we decided that we are going to cut back on a lot of the spending. And by the way, I'm a huge traveler, like also if you can tell from, my channel and so on, and I love traveling. However, what we're going to do now going forward is that we are really going to cut back on vacations. So we even have like our 15-year anniversary in December on the 17th, and we wanted to do a huge trip to Maldives or whatever. Now, because we're looking at the financial infrastructure and the economy right now, we decided we're simply going to cut back and not do like this big trip, but use essentially the amount also in addition to putting into an investment bank account, that's designated for investments, to have sort of the cash liquidity available to take advantage of really good deals that essentially are on the market, because people are in need of cash for various reasons, or money, right? And they're going to be selling like a lot of the businesses that are on the market. And so we really want to be essentially taking advantage of it. So just to give you a backstory, right? And then there's just a couple of things when it comes to Christmas as well. We're really wanting to try to rein in, I think is the word. So we're essentially trying to cut back on our spending. Like I'm doing a lot of kind of DIY Christmas presents, something that was very popular. I was just talking to my dad about it, who grew up in kind of after the Second World War in Austria, right? And there was a lot of stuff obviously going on, and families were really poor. A lot of the stuff was taken away. But so that was really what you did back then, right? You were maybe trading for Christmas, even you were doing like you did a famous, like a simple famous meal or snack, and you gave that as a present or whatever it might be. So I think we're trying to do this a little bit more, but also for sustainability reasons, because I think there's just so much stuff to go around. But so let's to talk really about like how you can become a millionaire during this recession. I've been doing, obviously also for personal reasons and for personal curiosity, I've been doing a lot of research on this topic for just the last few weeks, and I'm probably going to record another video on that, but it's a huge topic, but I wanted to dive into it right now. First of all, a couple of things, obviously various things. It is that you want to cut back on your spending, and it's not necessarily Dave Ramsey's kind of strategy of like that if you're skipping out on your $5, which is not $5 Starbucks anymore most of the time now, because of inflation is obviously between $7 or $9, right? That most people spend on average, I think, on their Starbucks drink. So if you're skipping that, right, every day and instead saving the $8 on your bank account, that's not what is going to make you obviously a millionaire, right? There has to be a more holistic, wholesome strategy about that. However, I think it's just important to know that for me, at least personally, it is important to know the human psychology about like sort of saving and spending and to kind of be kind to yourself, because I know a lot of the time we're trying to save money, we're trying not to spend money. For me, at least, I feel like if we understand the human psychology, that just because I am not a great actually saver myself, right? There's quite a few emotional spending that is happening, but at least as I notice and I know the human psychology, and I'm kind to myself and I'm not beating myself up over it, because it's just sort of like, that's just how, we wired, or most of us, but I'm using it to my advantage by setting up sort of just simply automations when it comes to the finances and that kind of stuff. I think it makes it just really easy to kind of save the money. And then another thing is like saving or like not spending so much helps me a lot too. If I have a purpose, if I have sort of like an outcome that I am kind of going towards after, right? That I'm trying to hit. Because if someone would just tell you, oh, you don't want to spend or save because that's the good thing to do or the right thing to do, right? In order to build up your finances, then you're going to be like, okay. You want the immediate gratification, right? A few things just that are really helping me is just, first of all, understanding my psychology and kind of working around that, meaning I'm setting up automated transfers into my investment savings account so I cannot touch that money, and most of the time not even look at it, because if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. The second thing is simply that I'm kind of being really aware of what my outcome is. And my outcome essentially is right now in building generational wealth, right? For instance, making the decision, like I was telling you guys the story at the beginning, of not going, for instance, on a big vacation right now and using like the 15 grand, whatever it would be, it's around that much, but using that essentially to really direct it into a long-term focus and delaying the gratification right now, because we're living in such an actually opportune time right now. If we're shifting it towards something positive, that's of course really, really exciting. Just a couple of things like in that sense. So let's talk about outcomes, right? Because you really want to be knowing, like, you are like, okay, Cornelia, I got it, right? So essentially, I just want to make sure I have income during this recession. Another big thing, obviously, that I would be suggesting and how you can become a millionaire in this recession. It's not just when we talk about investing, but we also want to talk about like where the economy is shifting to. One of the things that is definitely important is that you make sure that you're also establishing, you're having a side hustle, or you're building up a side hustle, or you just have various ways in order to improve upon your skill to make income or create income in times of necessity. So if you have a corporate job right now or another day job and you could get fired from it, which obviously is happening all the time now from the headlines, it's nothing, I'm telling you that as well to kind of scare you. I think there's no reason for that. If you're watching this video, obviously as well, you're a smart person, you know, you have access to Wi-Fi, you have access to the internet, to information, to knowledge. It's just about applying that knowledge and kind of taking action. It's just essentially of having almost like an insurance, right? And knowing that, okay, this is how I can create money with the side hustle if something should happen to my job. But also, I can have a side hustle because I want to increase my income, which brings me to obviously my second or third point, is that you want to increase your income. You want to steadily increase your income. You want to be absolutely adding a side hustle to your corporate job or to your day job. If your day job does not allow you to increase your income in the next 2 months by quite a lot. So I think that's really important to know, is that you want to just really increase your income because you need that extra money to be able to invest it and take advantage of the opportunities that are coming our way because of the recession. So I have a couple of other videos on how you can actually increase your income. So I'm going to link them up here right now. And I'm also going to link them down below in the description section so you can check them out. Lots of knowledge, obviously, in the channel. If you like this channel as well, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Let's keep going. Another thing that I find really interesting is, I'm just looking at my notes here for a second. When we talk again about also saving and spending, I wanted to actually mention that before on the spending and the saving side of things, but usually you want to have 3 to 6 months of your fixed cost covered, right? However, when we're talking about a recession, and especially also if your family, right, for us, you want to be hitting between 12 and 18 months of money, like fixed costs that you want to have. Ideally a high yield savings account, but you know, there's not really like, I would say, a high yield what I would determine or as a high yield savings account out there anymore. But essentially you want to be hitting the 12 to 18 months, right? So however, what we're doing right now, as we're still working towards that, like increasing up sort of our emergency funds, right? And having the cash available if something should happen, right? If you lose a client right now for us in our business, or, you know, if there's tech issues and, you know, happening with a launch, so you're not bringing in the kind of money that you expected, if you have a day job and you lose it, all this kind of stuff, right? It's just really important to have sort of like now not 3 to 6 months worth of like savings, but make sure that you have between 12 and 18 months worth of savings. So once you have that done, but simultaneously sort of we're doing this right now too, it's not just that we're putting every extra money into the savings account, but we're also kind of adding it to the investment account. In the past, usually until you hit the 3 to 6 months, that's the only thing I would tell you, just save. And by the way, obviously disclaimer for this video, I'm not a financial advisor or anything like that. That's just my personal take on like the things. So just keep that in mind. Please do your own research, all this kind of good stuff is very important. But you know, it's an exciting topic that hopefully we can chat about in the comments as well, essentially to just spread the knowledge and help each other out as well. With that being said, I think we're doing it simultaneously just because the recession is presenting like a lot of amazing opportunities right now that we want to take, you know, a part of as well. And then you have to, of course, do your own risk evaluation and decide if that's something that's worth it to you or not. So after you put obviously the savings in a high yield savings account or a money market account or bank CDs as well, then you can just essentially, let's talk about the investment side of things, right? Because we talked about the savings and the spending and not spending so much side of things as well. So when it comes to the investment side of things, there's a couple of videos that are obviously recorded on investing as well. A few of them I'm going to link down in descriptions as well, and you can check them out here as well, that are pretty like still valuable for the time sort of that we live in right as well. However, there's a few things that you want to be thinking about differently because we are in these times right now. So let's talk about different ways that are actually going to make you a millionaire. So we're going to talk a bit more about investing, right? Super exciting. So first of all, I'm going to use a quote from Naval Ravikant. I'm a big fan of his. So here we go. He said, there's newer forms of leverage that's permissionless and frictionless. It's called media. So media used to be heavily permission-based, and there's still aspects that are, of course, but there's so much that isn't, like TikTok, YouTube, and so on, Instagram, essentially social media. So what he is saying is that some of the ways, or one of the ways that is can possibly make you a millionaire, and pretty fast actually. So we're looking at timeframes that I do know people who have made it between 6 months and 12 months, is if you are essentially becoming an influencer. If you're a content creator on media and you're using media outlets to kind of share your voice, your opinion, whatever this might be, and then you're getting partnerships and affiliate deals and all this kind of stuff. So that is an amazing way still to use right now to obviously become a millionaire, right? And you can put, of course, money into it as well, because you can do different strategies, right? You can grow it organically, your media accounts, your social media accounts. However, you can use this in combination, or ideally, obviously, with paid ads as well, which is going to give me an advantage. You really have to obviously know how to do it. And if you want me to record a video, that let me know in the comments as well. We did it for a few clients at my agency Funnel Girl. But what I want to say is just simply that if you're using sort of like a combination of approaches, and you're also using partnerships, so you're working with other creators that have a similar audience to kind of like grow it further, these are just really great ways to grow your account super fast and kind of attract really big sort of like businesses that are going to pay for that. This is not going away. This is obviously an ongoing thing. I don't even have to say anymore that it is going away, or I hope we're all on the same page that the world has definitely shifted towards that. So it's really exciting what to say. One of the things that I would say is I would only focus on video and audio type of media. I'm not so much on picturesque media anymore, unless you're really obviously a photographer, one of the big kind of like niches. But yeah, just like for that, you can focus on that. Okay, and like one more thing, and one more tip that I can give you as well when it comes to just growing it organically, is another cool way, especially on like TikTok, or if you're doing Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts, that kind of stuff. What you can do is, if you're starting out actually right now, you can create like 2 to 3 accounts in different niches that you're excited about. So let's say you love vegan cooking, but you also love to create mom content. But then, for instance, you are like an Excel wizard and you use it all the time in your kind of corporate job. So you, for instance, start 3 different accounts on 3 different very specific niche subjects, and then you kind of go ahead and you're posting regular content for at least 30 days. 90 would be better. And then you're looking, if you're posting every day kind of content on that from Monday till Friday at least, and you're checking out the numbers, and then you're looking at, oh, what is really working, right? What is sort of like taking off? And then you're kind of closing out the other accounts and really kind of double down or focus on this one account. And this is really going to be super exciting, because then you're getting the feedback and the audience kind of like energy as well, that you know this is the niche that you have to focus on. Because I have a lot of my clients, or my coaching clients as well, they're kind of telling me, oh, I don't know, I kind of want to talk about this, but also this and this is in the same kind of family. That's all great, but at the end of the day, you really want to make sure to kind of focus at the beginning, because it will just definitely help you attract a faster audience that is engaging more with your content, because it is focused towards one specific niche that they are also very passionate about. Another thing is, and you heard this around, is, and that's something we're looking into right now. So I wanted to use this channel as well to sort of document our journey. So just obviously I'm not an expert on that by far at all yet, but one of the things that I wanted to share with you what we're sort of like doing, we're looking at buying businesses with seller-backed financing. So essentially where the owner would sort of like give you financing to buy their business because he just wants to retire or she just wants to retire. So we want to be looking at sort of more like type quote unquote boring businesses, but that are like recession proof, and where you can get the financing help from the owner and you can negotiate certain like terms and conditions, which is really exciting. So that's a very, very real possibility. I made a list as well to kind of like help you get started and maybe brainstorm some like ideas. If you have other ones as well, just like comment down below. But some businesses that are actually recession proofs are, and here's my list, I'm going to read that just like off right now, are like grocery stores, healthcare, such as mental health places as well, especially during recessions. Candy, people always like want to feel good. Obviously liquor and alcohol is another part of it. Fashion discount retailers, right? Like secondhand stores, thrift stores, that kind of stuff. Outlet malls, animals, children's goods such as diapers never will obviously go away. Cybersecurity is still a big one, tech support and debt collections is going to be like an interesting business as well. Shipping goods and transportation kind of warehouses, like we're really interested in that actually, because e-commerce is still rising and like there's sometimes logistical problems when it comes to that more warehouse space is needed. That's like a good problem to have. Like one of our clients as well, he's like an Amazon FBA seller and he has his own warehouses in the US and he constantly is growing his business and he's doing just really good at that. So we really want to be looking forward in sort of like, are we really interested in kind of like maybe investing in warehouses and then renting them out to ideally, you know, businesses that we understand, meaning that, for instance, an Amazon FBA business, like entrepreneur, that kind of stuff. So just some ideas. Then we got, money lending, of course, was like one of the last ones that I wrote down. So just for my research, if you have any other like businesses or interested ones that you're looking at, drop a comment down below and help like our community out. Let's talk about the stock market. During a recession, it's obviously almost like you are getting a lot of bargain deals if you know what you're doing, right? If you've been studying it a lot, because most people, they make the mistake, obviously, they're always buying usually when the stock prices is too high because they're buying it late, because they usually buying when they see everyone else that has already bought. So they're buying at a high and then most of the time their emotions get the better of them and then they're selling always, you know, most of the time at not the right time either, but it's true. So they're selling then when they should actually be holding it and just waiting sort of for better times to come around because they're afraid that they're losing even more money. So with that being said, and that's just a very, very basic like description of sort of like money market highs and lows and the economy that we've always seen. And obviously, you know, you can also check out the book, the Ray Dalio, who's talking about the changing world order. I'm also a big fan of his. He talks about as well, if you are kind of looking into how markets have flowed in between like the highs and lows, right? How they've moved around these points. It's more almost, I'm imagining almost a little bit, it's kind of like a circle thing for me. It's not so much like they go up the mountain, down the mountain, up the mountain, down the mountain. I see it more like a circle, like a cycle thing, kind of like the seasons are changing, right? If you're thinking about it like this, from summer to fall to winter to spring, you got my point. But so in essence, what I wanted to say with all of that is that's very exciting because you can buy amazing stocks at a very cheap value right now, at a very cheap price right now, if you are having the extra cash and then you essentially just want to kind of time it. And really for me especially, I mean, I'm a value investor and I also invest in growth, of course, stocks, but when I decide on buying sort of investing in a company, in a business, then I come from this place that I know I want to hold it for at least 10 years or up, like even further than that. I'm thinking like, I'm trying to think 30 or 40 years in ahead sometimes, which is, okay, we can talk about that as well. But I have obviously some theories about, you know, economy and, you know, where society is moving towards. And, you know, that's kind of what you're doing, obviously, when you're investing in stocks. At least, you know, as a value investor, you kind of, you're betting on certain things. So let's see what's happening there. But just like to give the idea, so if you have the extra cash, if you like to dabble with that, you could check it out as well. Okay, and then another thing, again, I think that just keeps being a huge thing and it's not talked about so much, or it is actually talked about a lot, but kind of people from the conversations that I see online are happening a lot of the times. And when entrepreneurs or business owners or influencers or content creators like myself, they keep talking about that, then you get sometimes a lot of backlash.
I had a little bit of a backlash.
So you get people just like, oh, okay, come on. And that is that essentially you just want to invest in yourself. And you just, by that, I mean, you just want to invest in kind of like growing skills that are of value to the marketplace and will continue to be of value to the marketplace also throughout a recession and beyond. And so again, I think that's just important. Most people think that they have to go to college. If you watch some of my other videos, you know that I 100% don't believe that at all, unless obviously you want to be like a doctor or you want to be a lawyer where you have to go to college, that kind of stuff. But if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to be a business owner, if you want to be a freelancer, if you just want to make money on the side online, right? Or even with investing and you just like don't want to be called any of those titles, it doesn't matter. Like this just comes down to you acquiring skills, and all of the knowledge that you need is online nowadays. And it just comes down to you kind of like going out there into the battlefield, if you want to call it that, and just taking the punches and going with them until you get really good at like hitting back and until you become really, really good at sort of like winning the game for yourself, whatever that means.
I win!
I think that's just really important to just like keep saying it, because when it comes down to it, when it's like terrible, I want to know sort of like that. I don't want to rely on if I had a corporate job, right? I have obviously 2 kids. I have 2 little kids. I wouldn't want to rely on someone making a decision possibly for me that I have no control over, meaning they could fire me, they could close a department, whatever it might be. I wouldn't want to rely on that. And it's not necessarily like a sort of crazy like arrogance or something like that. It's just like thinking about actually lowering the risk of my family, my entire sort of like family unit, meaning that if I am improving upon like some of the skills that like I have as well that are very desirable to the marketplace and that I keep getting paid for, then this is really great, because that's almost seen like an insurance, because I will always know how to create money. That's another conversation for another video. But money in that sense is just arbitrary, right? It's like the meaning that we give it. Obviously, it's very, very real. Obviously, like the Fed, for instance, there's no control over how much money they can print, right? That they have to print in order to cover all of the debt and all this kind of stuff. There's sometimes I would call, normal people, if I call it, if I title it like that, a lot of us are thinking that money sort of is limited, and it's not. Right? It is definitely not. You just want to understand the rules of the game, of the world that we live in, and then just sort of like play by them until you're really good at it. And one of the things is that it's also, of course, requiring mindset shifts. But I think as you're acquiring new knowledge, your mindset is shifting, especially also as you're meeting people who have a different point of view of the world and how the world works. If you're watching videos like this one, hi, thank you so much. But you're meeting different people who kind of like maybe share similar views and stuff, and you realize that, oh, okay, there's another way of how I can do this and so on. And that will probably really benefit my family and create generational wealth for them. And that's why one of the reasons I kind of really created this video or this channel to begin with, to kind of document our journey. Okay, so this was my time for now. But no, thanks so much for watching again. If you have any questions, if you want to keep on this discussion, because it's really exciting on how actually people are, also when you study history, right? How are people really becoming millionaires in recession, especially in this 2022, 2023, and going forward recession. Drop a comment down below. Let's continue the conversation. And if you like the content of this video, hit that like button. If you like hanging out with me, hang out with me some more, and hit the subscribe button. And then I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!